I don't know if there's something in the water these days, but I'm getting video after video of women saying, I am done with men. I'm not dating you. I'm not hanging out with you. You do nothing for me. In fact, you don't even like me. So today we're gonna react to a few of those videos and see if they have a point. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, as I said, I'm getting video after video of women saying we are done with men. And these are young women, maybe in their early 20s, saying, you know what? I don't need a man in my life. I'm happy with my female friends. I don't want kids. I don't want to settle down. I laugh at the male loneliness epidemic. So today, we're going to react to these women, see what points they're making and why they are done with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. Here's number one.
Has there been a shift in men the last few years, or are we all just like more aware? I'm in my early 20s. A lot of my friends are like gorgeous girls in their early 20s. Like, women just don't really like men anymore. Speaking from like personal experience, like I haven't dated in like 2 years. No man interests me. And every girl I talk to feels the same way. Like if I meet a girl and she's single, she's like, yeah, I don't really date because like I don't really care. I know that we say that like women hate men, but like men genuinely hate women. And like it's not a joke. Women that they hate the most are the ones that they're supposed to love. So like, ew. But I feel like you see way more now, like girls in their 20s, later 20s that like have never had a boyfriend. Is it just me? Because that's how I feel.
I mean, I do see this as a young woman who's living in Los Angeles currently. I am seeing a lot of women who say like, I'm on a celibacy journey, or I'm not going to be with a man. They're not doing anything for me. I need to get to know myself a little more, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm also hearing a lot of women say that men just absolutely hate them. They do not like them. And I don't know where that information is coming from. There seems to be a sort of collective consciousness waking up amongst young women where they're getting this idea that men don't like them, don't appreciate them, and aren't doing anything for them. And I have to feel that maybe it's the societal structures that we have set in place right now that are evening the playing field between men and women, at least when it comes to socioeconomic status and education, that may be leading to this. You know, women are on track to out-earn men. They are out-educated in comparison to men. And I feel like women are making these subtle calculations in their mind right now that they're making their own money, they're educated, they're doing everything they need to do for their own lives. They feel like they're safe within that space, and letting a man enter that space is not necessarily doing anything for them. I've also heard a lot of women say, not only am I bringing all of this to the table in terms of finances and education, but the man is expecting me to take on female gender roles in a relationship where I'm already bringing this much to the table. And maybe there's an incongruence in the way that women are thinking about this and the way that men are thinking about this. Men, you'll have to let me know. Is her degree and is her money her bringing something to the table? Do you expect more on top of that? Do you hate women? And are you leading with that energy around them? I don't have this in my experience, at least with the man that I'm with, so I feel bad if this is the energy that they're truly receiving from men, but I have a feeling something else is afoot. Okay, we're gonna watch another video here and see what this girl has to say.
Andrea Dworkin once said that it is an agony for women to be fully conscious of the brutal misogyny that permeates every part of culture and personal relationships. And honestly, for me, the day that I realized I was a feminist and I just saw the patriarchy for what it was, I have never been able to unsee that, and it affects every single thing I do. Once you form this awareness as a woman of the way that men hate women, it is so difficult to exist in a way that isn't in rebellion of that, to exist in a way that isn't making a point all the time. And she was so right in saying that women are socialized to not realize these things, because the minute you realize it, it's damaging, it's debilitating, it's so all-consuming and so depressing and sad, and it just sucks when you realize how historically women have been oppressed and disrespected and abused and hurt and used, and they continue to be. Then obviously you as a woman want to live your life and enjoy your life, so you have to figure out where you stand on these things, and also just has to go in the world and interact with men. I have to find a way to like reconcile these feelings and exist. But it's so hard when you have this realization about the world. She says something else where she says that women under patriarchy are a victim, and all daughters, past, present, and future, are a victim. We have such a huge responsibility as women, and men have the same responsibility, but God knows that they don't want to do anything about it. But we as women have a massive responsibility to create a world that is a little bit better every time, because we're bringing daughters into the world, and I can't wait to have a little girl. But it's something I think about so often. I'm so scared to bring in a daughter and watch her realize the things that I had to realize about the world. Just cuts you so deep. I could actually start crying if I think about it. It's really awful. We're in a time where femicide is on the rise, and the deaths of women and murder of women is a literal national crisis. And I don't know, I just think about it a lot. I literally, every single day and everything that I do, I feel it. When I go to bed at night, I feel it. I feel the weight of all the women who came before me and the women who come after me. And it kills me.
So much to talk about there, and I'll actually say I can relate to some of what she said, not because I agree with the statement that she's making, but because I went through a similar time in my life when I was a leftist. I felt as though I came to this realization that I remained on a certain victim status because I was biracial in America, because I was a woman in America, and when you feel the weight of this supposed realization, it is something, like she says, that you cannot stop making a point about. Every t-shirt had an activist statement on it. Every person that gave me a cross look or said something that I deemed to be a microaggression or racist was getting a lecture and in full force. And I had to make a point at every single turn, because you feel like this veil has been lifted and that you're seeing things that other people don't see. And in her case, she feels that way in regard to patriarchy, I guess. And I gotta say, this has not been my experience with men. Of course, there are men out there that you can see harbor a disdain or maybe resentment towards women and the lives that we get to live by virtue of being born female in this world, and they carry that with them. But with my discernment, it seems I've been able to find men that don't move through the world with those feelings. I'm hearing a lot of the things she's saying, and I'm thinking, my man would never, and I hate to be that person. But I feel as though it is a matter of perspective. And it's not because I don't see some of the things that she's referencing and talking about. Of course, these things exist, but I don't feel as though they're an all-encompassing oppressive force that exists all times to hold down women. She even goes as far as to say it will be for generations to come. She is sort of giving a prophecy as to how the future is going to play out and as to how oppressed her daughter and her daughter's daughters are going to be. And I gotta say, you don't know what the future looks like. And if we look at the world right now as it exists for women, and as it has in history, we're doing pretty good. And that's not to say we don't have issues or things we need to tackle, and maybe ideas that are rooted in patriarchy that are still holding women down here and across the world. It's just to say that if you cannot see the flowers in the field, I don't know that we're going to be doing all that better in the future. And if your main thought in having a daughter is awakening her to her oppression and her victimhood, I don't know, maybe hold off a little bit and wait a little more and marinate on these ideas just a bit more before we go running around saying that that's going to be her reality. And more so than that, saying that all men hate women. Because I gotta say, I don't believe that to be true. But I do want men to sound off in the comments, because even if you're lying and you truly hate women, I think I'll be able to get notes of that in your comments down below. Let me know your true feelings. And, if you somehow can't figure out your true feelings, we have a test for you. This next TikTok is going to be revealing as to how men truly feel about women, and here's how we do it.
Ladies, if you're in a relationship with a man or dating a man and you want to know what he really thinks of you, I want you to go ahead and ask 2 very important questions from him. It needs to be on a random day without a context, and he needs to respond immediately off the top of his head. He cannot have time to think about it. And that is, why do you like or love me? And if you were to describe me to a stranger right now, how would you describe me, or who would you describe me as? Watch them lose their shit, because none of them have standards. That's a good one. That's a tough one, because they have never thought about it. It's not that serious. It's not that serious for them. They don't care who you are, because you're not a person. They just chose you because you were available, accessible, you were agreeable. Yeah. And for that 10% who actually thought about why they chose you and they were calculative about their decision, which makes them more dangerous, you'd think that it's a good thing, but it's not. They would describe you most probably as a person who does things for them. I love you or like you because you do this for me. I love you or like you because you make me feel this and that way. Me. If they do not have anything to say about you, your personality, your character, the kind of person that you are, the way you carry yourself in society, the way you take care of yourself, the way you communicate, this tells you everything. And the most dangerous answer they could ever give you, which is my favorite because I have been told all my life, is that you look young and pretty.
I don't doubt that all of these women are dealing with experiences like this with men. And in a sea of 100 people, as you're trying to find your person or somebody that you feel bonded to and compatible with, you are going to run into 99 people who don't hit the mark for you and who you feel like value you for things that you don't want to be valued for. And that's totally normal. In fact, I'll plug you into a reality. Women do the same thing to men in a lot of different ways. And where we see this content from women, I see a lot of content from men that women are just analyzing how much value they bring to the table as far as finances. They are analyzing them for, you know, how powerful they are, or how much status they are, or how much they feel safe in their presence, with statements like, you make me feel, which is what she didn't want to hear from a man when asking about her value or what she is loved for. Now, this is totally valid. It is totally valid that you want to find a man who values you for who you are, for your being, for your morals, your values, how you show up in the world, your thoughts, your intellect, what you bring to life in his presence. And there are men who are also searching for that in women. That is not to say that there aren't men who just love a young and pretty thing to keep on their arm and to say that they've been with and to say that they have. It is to say that we push those men aside. Now, I think we disagree as to like the ratio in which these men exist, but I'm not going to say that this is not an issue that exists as far as gendered differences, and it's not something that we have to overcome. Oftentimes, I think men find themselves in relationships with women, and women find themselves in relationships with men without a total understanding of their gender differences and how men and women show up in the world differently. And that lack of understanding develops and changes and builds into understanding as you have relationships with the opposite sex. Now, these can be friendships, these can be sexual relationships, these can be, you know, sisters and mothers and brothers and fathers. And where we don't have those links, we create lack of understanding. And that lack of understanding starts to show up in our relationships as men are pursuing women and wanting something more and maybe wanting children and marriage. And they could very well want it for the wrong reasons because of a lack of understanding. And it's on us to discern where that lack of understanding lies. And it's for us to discern whether or not this person is worth teaching. And we feel as though we could mold them into somebody who understands us and they could mold us into somebody who understands them and build those relationships on a deeper level. But to write off all men as lacking in understanding, and even more than that, hating women, objectifying them, and wanting nothing more to exploit them, I feel like is really misguided. I think most human beings, be it male or female, are looking to lead moral lives, are looking to be compassionate. They are looking for connection. And where that lack of understanding exists, we're trying to build connection. Now, that might not be the case for the men that she's encountered, but I wouldn't use it as an argument to write them all off. Now, that was a very intellectualized way of saying not all men, which is what nobody wants to hear these days. But I don't know. I feel as though I'm living, breathing proof of it in the men that I happen to have connections with in my life. And it's unfortunate that these women are not finding that. And I guess we'll see how it goes from here. But this proclivity to like just push everyone away into distance is certainly not going to fix anything. We're gonna watch one more, and this is about the bar being in hell for men. The standards are apparently very, very low.
The way that the bar is so low with men that we talk about them like they're preschoolers. It's like, yeah, he's still learning to talk about his feelings. Yeah, but he does know about questions. Yeah, he knows how to ask questions every now and then. He'll slip one in. It's really cool. He's doing good.
Oh no! Okay, so the women are talking about you guys as if you're babies. It reminds me of Jill Biden being, Joe, you answered every single question.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
And I guess that's the energy that women are bringing to men these days. Wow, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not awakened to the struggle that exists out there, and it is your fault. I think I'm just as inclined to find videos of men talking like this about women, but from a very different perspective. So maybe it's a shared burden that is leading to this relationship collapse that we're witnessing right now, because there's a loneliness epidemic. I know people say it's skewed towards men, but I'm seeing a lot of women, at least in my personal experience, who are also struggling with loneliness. And they're wanting a relationship, but not feeling like they're in the right place or that men are in the right place for them to go out and seek one. And that's devastating to hear. And you wonder if this lack of pursuit from women is going to make men catch up. And if they are catching up, what does that look like? I can't help but go back to a previous point in this video where we talk about socioeconomic status and intelligence and education, where women are making leaps and bounds in those fields, and they're catching up or even outperforming when it comes to men. I think a dynamic is going to present itself of the things that we used to get from relationships, we are no longer getting. A man could trust back in the day that a woman was going to lean into her feminine role, that nurturing, caretaking, kid-loving demeanor, and that is dwindling these days. And women could trust that a man was going to be the provider. He was going to go out, put food on the table. He was going to provide protection. And as we even those playing fields and everybody is able to provide for themselves in all of those ways, as you enter relationships, you're going to be looking for more, because you're not getting 50% of what you used to get before. In fact, you're providing that for yourself. So what do I need now from a partner? I need complete emotional intelligence. I need compatibility on interests and activity. I need somebody who's constantly going to support me in the woes of life that exists in my pursuit of a career, in my pursuit of education. And maybe men are not ready for that, but also women are not ready for what men want in this current society and in this current dynamic. And what that leads to is us sitting on either side of the gymnasium, refusing to ask each other to dance, and instead we're bullying one another and saying we're bringing nothing to the table and we have nothing to provide. Now, how you bridge that gap? I don't know. Maybe people will get lonely enough that they start to engage with one another and try to build relationships, and that's what's going to bring our connection back together again. Maybe the birth rate drops so low that people wake up and realize we need to procreate. Or maybe we're entering an era of lesbianism, homosexuality, and lavender marriages, which, if you don't know what a lavender marriage is, women are going out and marrying gay men now. Because they don't want to date heterosexual men. Now, how that works, I don't know. Maybe we'll unpack that in a separate video. But something is askew. Something is off right now. And I don't know exactly how it's going to be fixed. I think men have some catching up to do. I think women have some catching up to do. And I think as a society, we're both going to have to realize what relationships are for, what they've always been, and maybe we'll inject a little bit of necessity into the current dating situation, and we'll be able to come together again. But I don't know. Men, do you hate women? Women, do you hate men? Because a lot of the rhetoric that we just went through in this video, if you truly believe it, if you truly believe that men hate you, they are enforcers of patriarchy, they cannot recognize you as human beings and instead see you as objects, wouldn't you hate them? So is there just gender hatred all over the place right now? At least here in the West, as this is the Western society we're talking about? Let me know down below. how you feel about the opposite sex. Are you in a relationship? Are you trying to pursue a relationship? How is that going for you? Are you learning things along the way? And what are you looking for in someone that you're dating? Because women, it seems, are looking for somebody to meet them and be compatible and to see them. And apparently they're meeting men who are incapable of doing that. So let me know in the comments down below. This entire video has just been a massive question mark for me. I don't know what's going on, but I'm keep hearing this message, and I'm sure there will be more to come. Maybe we'll do a male version of this so we can see the other side of the coin. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every single day. And if you disagree with anything said in this video, duke it out, but do so respectfully. We encourage healthy debate on this channel, and I will see you guys next time. I'm confused. Bye. Okay.